I'm Anil Kumar, and with the help of this video, we will try to understand the terms absolute maximum, absolute minimum, local maximum, and local minimum, right? So we'll understand what is absolute maximum or minimum and what is local maximum or minimum. Now, whenever we talk about absolute values, normally we are talking about an interval. So we have a closed interval when we talk about absolute terms normally, right? So that is, in closed interval we'll normally have absolute maximum and minimum value. The graph here shown to you is given in a closed interval. The interval here is from -1 to 3. So we'll say the interval is from -1 to 3, right? So in inequalities you could also write this as x is greater than or equal to -1 and is less than or equal to 3, right? That is what. Now let's answer this question. What is the absolute maximum value and what is the absolute minimum value from the given graph in this closed intervals, right? So let's find absolute maximum and absolute minimum. So can you tell me what is the absolute maximum value and what is the absolute minimum value from the graph? Well, clearly in this interval that point is the absolute maximum, highest value in the interval, and the minimum value is this point, right? So we can say the y values corresponding to these are what we are interested in figuring out, right? So the answer here is that absolute maximum is 7. So this value is 7 and absolute minimum is -2, right? This value of 7 occurs at -1. So you could write this function as f of -1 equals to 7 is absolute maximum, and f of 3 equals to -2 is absolute minimum, right? Now let us look into the other two terms, which are local maximum and local minimum, right? So these two terms which we talk about are local maximum and local minimum, right? The difference here is that local means close, in a close vicinity, right? So that is what is the main difference, right? So we look into local. So here you will see that point within its close vicinity, this point is at minimum, right? And that point is at maximum in its close vicinity. Do you see that part? So those are kind of turning points, cusps or corners. So those values will give you local maximum and minimum values. So answer for us in this case will be local maximum is at 1. So f of 1 is equals to 3, and so the local maximum value is 3, and the local minimum value is right there at the origin. It is 0, f of 0 as equal to 0, right? So in this chapter we are going to understand what is absolute maximum, what is absolute minimum, and you need to also understand what is local maximum and local minimum, right? So absolute values means there is no other value in the given domain which is more than that, then that becomes the maximum value, or less than that, it becomes the minimum value, right? And as far as the local maximum minimum are concerned, we look into close vicinity. So in nearby there are no other values which are greater than or less than that value, right? So you get maximum or minimum. Now in terms of derivatives, what you will find is, in terms of derivatives, here these are the turning points. So we call also them critical points. Let me use the term critical points or critical numbers. So critical numbers are the points where the derivative, let's say f dash x, equals to 0, or the derivative f dash x does not exist. Okay, or the derivative does not exist. You can see a cusp here at this point. At the origin, the derivative does not exist. And at that point, we have a derivative which is 0, a horizontal tangent. So at such points, we will get local maximum or minimum value. Okay. Now, whenever we talk about absolute maximum minimum, we have to consider closed interval. And another thing which we need to consider is that function should be continuous. So always, whenever we say in this interval, we are looking for absolute maximum or minimum value, then the function should be continuous. Like in this particular case, the function is continuous, and therefore we can find absolute maximum or minimum value. In case you have a function where it is not continuous in between, then in that interval we cannot find absolute maximum or minimum value. So these are few things which you have to keep in mind when we are working on questions in this particular chapter of maximum and minimum on an interval. Thank you and all the best.